Valentine's Day. I'm so excited to be with you on Valentine's Day. I hope all of you have a great day. I have a ton of sew along progress, and so some of the quilts I've actually finished up. So you'll get to see a summary of like all the blocks together. So that's really nice. Some of them I'm in progress, and then some of them I haven't started yet. We do have a big quilt show at the end, so like a quilt parade. And we have Moda kits, we have Riley Blake kits, we have all kinds of kits. Those are really fun to look at. And I always really like the trunk shows because it's kind of like going to a quilt show and seeing a big variety of quilts. And huge shout out to the companies that allowed us to borrow their quilts. Now, Lori Holt's birthday is on Sunday. So you guys all get on Instagram and wish her a happy birthday because, I mean, you know, we all love Lori. So we're going to kind of jump right in, and I'm going to try to go each like sew along and then try to give you as much detail as I can. Now, some of it might be repeat detail, some of it might be new. And if you have questions, just throw them in and I will, of course, answer them if I know the answer. So we're going to go on our book. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about is I changed my book a little bit. I used to go by the number of the book. But since we're now on like year 3 of using this system, obviously some have finished, some haven't. So we're going more in order of like where I'm at with it. So like if I'm almost done, it's closer to the beginning of the book. If I have just like I'm in the middle of it, it's in the middle of the book. If I haven't started it, it's at the end of the book. And what I did on these pages was put the name of the quilt right here so I could easily find it. So we're going to start with Quilty Fun. And this is the row along. We started back in April of 2024. It finishes this March, and I'm excited to say that I have all of my rows done. And I do have some tips for you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the book, and I'm going to show you the row that goes along with it. And it's in order of the book. Now, this book is 10 years old. Very proud of this book. This was the very first book we published with Lori Holt. And it's, you know, it holds a really special place in my heart because it's really how I reached out to Lori, and she had this as a free quilt along for all of her church ladies that she met with monthly. And I was like, you know what? Let's put this all in a book. So this is the original coloring 10 years ago. We, meaning Lori, recolored this using a combination of a lot of different collections. So she's got probably 5 or 6 collections in here, which is a great way to mix and match collections. We do have a quilt kit available, but I do encourage you to use your stash. And she talks about at the book about choosing fabrics for your row along, and you know how many of each color would be good to start with. Okay, so this is the 4 patches. This was what I did first. Now, one thing you're going to notice is when you look at the end of the rows, like fabric A should be 2 1/4 inches or 2 1/2. This is more like 4. I made every end of the row bigger. And at the end, I'm going to explain why. I'm sure you can figure out why here. Now, On this one, I just did scrappy. I took one of each fabric that was in the kit and just did, you know, scrappy. Now, I did piece mine a little bit differently than hers. I just did 1.5-inch squares. I did press this entire quilt open because there's just a lot of little pieces. Well, this one obviously isn't pressed open, but I mean, you know, I can easily fix that. So this is the row 1 4 patches. I'm gonna put it like right here so you can kind of see. And this is the row that we sewed in. This is the butterfly row. And this is one where I followed the coloring that Lori Holt did, and that coloring can be found on the Fat Quarter Shop blog. And this, you can see, is a lot wider than here. Now, one thing you'll notice is every other month, you add rows to the top and bottom of your rows to join them. I'm going to be doing that at the end. I'm going to discuss why, because I think basically the reason is I think it's more efficient to do that. So here is the butterfly row. The next one is the chubby chevrons. And I did the same thing. You know, I made this longer. I used her coloring. And one thing I wanted to show you is with this, if you wanted to, you could do these as different fabrics. So if you wanted to, you could make it more scrappy like this, where you use more than 12 fabrics. I think it's 12. Yeah, you could use 24 fabrics instead of 12 if you wanted it to be a little bit scrappy. And I do have this quilt already made, but I'm going to have a second one. And they look totally different. The first one was more, I guess, lighter. The apples, this was probably the hardest row because there were so many different blocks. And there were red apples, green apples, and yellow apples. And these right here, the ones that are solid, are Confetti Cottons by Riley Blake. And just so you know, Riley Blake has 50 new colors coming out. They will be shipping in March. And a lot of the colors are designed by Lori Holt, so they will have a huge assortment. I think at this point they'll have like over 400 or 300 colors. So Confetti Cotton will be a very comprehensive display of solids. This next one is Flying Geese, and I did this one different also. This is Lori's favorite method of doing flying geese, and I use the Eleanor Burns method just because that's what I'm used to, that's what I like, and that's what I think is the fastest. So I kind of keep notes in my book of what I do. And again, you can see A is supposed to be 2.5. I made mine probably 4 inches. And again, we're going to talk about that at the end. And this one along with the 4 patch, I just did scrappy. I did not look at the printout from Lori because that would just be like crazy excessive. And I just tried to keep the fabric separated. This is scrappy, so it's gonna look good no matter what. And one thing that I learned from Lori a long time ago is even if 2 fabrics touch, when you look at that row, you notice it. When you look at the entire quilt, you do not notice it. We have the Cocoa Cups. This one was easy. Super cute. We have the Falling Leaves. Now this one, this is also one where if you wanted to, you could do 2 different colors. Now I think that might look a little funny, but it gives you an option if you wanted to do something different. Oh, let me show the other side. And again, this one started in April of 2024. These are the mitten blocks. And so on this, the first 2 quilts, I'm showing you all of the rows and blocks because we're at the end. And at the end, that means we're gonna put this together, send it to get quilted, and you won't see it for a while because obviously it's gonna take probably a couple of weeks to get it assembled. We ship it off to get quilted. You know, they do the binding, it takes a while. And this one, you know, if you wanted to, you could face all of your mittens face up if you didn't want to rotate them. And I'm just trying to give you ideas of things you could do to make the quilt your own if you wanted to. I mean, this quilt is so unique. I don't think you need to do anything crazy. Twinkly Winter Stars. These are friendship stars. One thing I wanted to note is these are rectangles with corner squares, and these are rectangles with corner squares. If you wanted to, you could do 4 half square triangles and then 5 squares. I did this the traditional way, but you can always convert it if you feel like half square triangles gives you more accuracy. Now this quilt, you know, a lot of quilts, I attack them in different ways. Some quilts I want to be perfect, and that means I'm going to display them in my house permanently, at the office permanently, on the back of a furniture permanently. Quilts that my kids are just going to use and lay around, or my mother-in-law uses them a lot, I don't have to be accurate because, you know, those are going to be used and loved and not be legacy quilts. Row 10 is the neighborhood houses. Super cute. And this one, really the key on the houses is to use big color changes. You know, the yellow, the green, and the gray, and the pink, they all contrast. So if you did like red, pink, red, it's gonna kind of blend together. So you really want to, on a row like this, use big variety. The sewing spools, it's probably the cutest row. And all of these, I did reels on short videos on how I did them. So if you wanted like kind of like a behind the scenes of the different things I did, that's in there. Probably on this, I probably made these bigger and trimmed down. That's just part of my nature. Now, knowing that I do that, I do run out of fabric because I cut bigger and trim down, but I would rather have a quilt that's more accurate. That's just kind of a thing. The sewing baskets. This one was pretty easy, pretty fun. Now this one, you could make all of the baskets the same color. You could even do, if you wanted the baskets to be 2 different greens or 2 different pinks, there's a lot of color options you can do with this. And the way that we wrote the pattern, it's very easy to see where each fabric goes. Everything's very much labeled, so you can see really where everything goes. The last row is the spring tulips. This one's pretty easy. It looks harder. I think the hardest part of this is, you know, alternating them and just, you know, not accidentally putting 2 of the same heights together or the same thing together. So those are my rows. So let's talk about the next steps in this quilt. I probably didn't think that through very good. And then after I show you that, I'm going to show you the backing. So now you guys know that I have this awesome person named Teresa who is behind the scenes, and she puts my quilts together. Because her doing that allows me to bring you more content, and really my love of quilting is piecing the blocks, working with the colors, all of the things. Now when you go to the book and you go to the putting it together, each row should be 50.5 inches wide. And like I told you, every other month you add the top and bottom borders, which I did not do. What I did is up front, I cut borders. I labeled them as B and C. So these are my borders. I cut my rows up front. So what Teresa's going to do is she's going to center this row. She's going to measure it to 50.5, and she's going to put pins on the ends. She's going to do the same thing with the rows. She's going to basically pin all the way across, so all of these to the top and bottom, and then sew it together. Now, the one thing that does need to be done in this quilt is this outer border, and Teresa's also going to do that for us. The scrappy binding I did cut at the very beginning so that I would have big enough pieces, so this quilt will have a scrappy binding. If you don't like scrappy bindings, you can just use one binding, not a big deal. And we're going to do them where they're all on the straight, and then when we join it together, we're going to join it together on the straight, so it's all very cutesy. And I have not cut my inner border yet, but I did buy more from the kit than normal because I want to do length of fabric. So that's my Quilty Fun. Really, really excited about this quilt. On a quilt like this, if you take your time, in the end, you're going to love it. If you try to rush through a quilt like this, you might get frustrated because, you know, some blocks are easy, some blocks are hard. You're kind of all over the place. So, spacing it out really kind of lets you enjoy it. Now this week I was able to finish the label for the block. I'm going to talk about that, and then I'm going to give you Teresa tips. So this is the label, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the very center of my backing. I'm going to add fabric to the left and the right, and then the top and the bottom, so it's centered. In the book, Lori gives you instructions on putting this right sides together with a background fabric, or since the book has been written, she does now have sew-in interfacing you can use, where you sew across, flip it out, and then put that on the backing. So that's two options. I added my label up here. I originally had it right here, and it took away from the B. So I unstitched it, and then I just I didn't want this to be right on the end because I didn't think I could get it exactly on the end with math. So I just kind of put it here. I think it looks good. I originally wanted to put it here also, but then I kind of thought with this, at least it would have more white around it and it would stick out. Down here, I kind of felt like it might touch the wing too much. But I'm going to show you, this is the genius of Teresa. In the book, I'm going to find the page. Okay, on page 50, this is to scale. When Sarah made the book, she made this exactly to scale because Lori had made this. So Teresa went to a copy machine. she copied this, just Xeroxed it, made sure she copied it to scale, so 1-to-1, it's not distorted. This is it to scale. She cut it out to the size of this, unfinished. So she figured out the size of this, took 1/2 inch around, 1/2 inch away, trimmed this down, now I would have never thought of this. So thankfully Teresa did this before the live stream, because I just finished this like 2 days ago. When I got it this morning, it was in here. So she put that in there. Now Jordan's going to zoom in. Teresa took a Pigma pen with a very small tip, and she drew dots tracing it. She used a Caterpillar light box on the back so she could see the lines from the paper. She drew these little lines. Now, she gave me the option of using a back stitch to do the antenna, or a stem stitch. I picked the stem stitch because that's fancy, and obviously I don't know how to do that. So she's going to hand stitch this with 1 strand of embroidery floss. In the book, she uses 2 strands, but I asked her to only use 1. And I had thought, oh, let me cheat and not put an antenna. I'm not sure how you say it, but whatever, antenna, you get it. And Sophie said, if you don't put the antenna, it's gonna look bald. So thank God she said that. And thank you, big shout out to Teresa for doing this for us and giving us this idea. Now with this paper, she used kind of a glossy, thicker paper. Printer paper might kind of get, it might not squish up in there as easily. So thank you to Teresa for that idea. Hopefully you can use that idea in your quilt. So this is all done. Now the plan is Teresa's gonna put it together. We'll send it to a quilter. So you probably see this in 2 or 3 months. But I finished this maybe a month or 2 late, no big deal. Super pretty. This one will hang on a wall at Fat Quarter Shop somewhere. I'm not sure where, but very excited about it. It's a great size. The original one that I made was in the entryway of Fat Quarter Shop for about 8 years. It is sun damaged, but it is super nice because it kind of faded evenly. So it kind of just looks more like an antique quilt. It doesn't look ruined. This one I'll probably put where it's not near sunlight so that it doesn't get damaged. So that's a big, big, big accomplishment. Very excited to be done with that. That was a ton of work. And so in my book, I generally keep a copy of, what I'm making in case I, need to refer to it, if I run out of fabric or something. And we now have 3 binders. This is the binder that's a work in progress. When the quilt is done and sent to the quilter, the page comes out and goes in a book of finished quilts. That way I can always get, me or Denise or Ashley or anybody who needs it can get to what SKU did I use if we forget, what collections were in it. I try to keep as much data as possible in it. The 3rd book is what's still in progress at home. So after this live stream, the ones that I take home to sew, I put in another binder. So now we're on Strawberry Garden. And this is a quilt book by Joanna Figueroa. This was a block of the month she offered on her website years ago. So Joanna does really beautiful block of the months. She offers those exclusively on her website. And then years later, she'll publish some of them. Sometimes she publishes them. Sometimes I publish them. We were honored that we got to publish this one. Now, I've done all of the blocks except the last one. So I'm going to show you the blocks, and I'm going to show you in order. This is now sold out. We sold this as a block of the month, and with the block of the month, we use the Jelly and Jam collection, which, you know, is now sold out. But we do give you a detail if you want to buy this. If you want to make it as a kit, you could take this to Fat Quarter Shop and shop online and get your fabrics, or you could take it to your local quilt shop and do that. If you want to watch a stream with Joanna from May 10th, she goes into a detail on how you can take your stash at home and make the quilt. And then if you want to offer this, you know, if you want to make this month by month, it just tells you what you need for that month. So we really give you the option so that it helps you plan at home if you don't have the kit. So I'm going to leave this like this, and I'm going to show you the blocks. Now, I only have like 5 left. And so those 5 I'm going to do probably today. And then when I take those home and I'm done with them, it's just going to go straight to the quilter. I'm not going to hold it. So that's why we're showing you today. So we have the Crossroads block. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to do this on the side. We have the Goose Star block. And in my bedroom, I have a quilt ladder with fig tree quilts. It has 4 rungs on it. So I only have 3 quilts. I'm going to add this one there. I also have video reels on doing these. These are my favorite. These are the strawberry blocks. And keep asking your questions. I will get to them. I'm probably going to hold the questions to the end just so I don't get too distracted. Super cute. So those are the berry blocks. These are the Flying Due South blocks. And in the book, we give you detailed instructions on how your block should look and your fabrics. So you could just go to your stash and say, oh, do I have a brown? Do I have a busy background? Do I have 2 greens? And it, you know, will make it to where this book can last longer. This is the Due South block. You only make 1. The Pinwheel block, you make quite a few. These are super easy. Of course, I use triangles on a roll. The Garden BOM block, you make 2. And this one, I started this in May of 2024. It goes all the way to April of this year. So I'm a tiny bit ahead. And I'll show you the blocks I haven't finished, just so you know. This one was probably the most intense. This is the Ring Around the Rosy block. And this one, you know, I just had to kind of make sure that everything went the right way. Because, you know, obviously if it didn't, it would be quite noticeable. This one would also be really pretty if you used a solid here instead of a busy background. The Berry Picking basket block. And on this quilt, oh, I need to fix that. everything is pressed open. When I'm doing something that is sampler-ish like this, I'm probably just going to press open because I don't have to think. I don't have to look at the book. And, you know, honestly, I like the results of pressing open. It does take longer, but I do think my blocks look better. The Flying Geese block, you only make one. On this one, I use the Eleanor Burns method. Aster flower blocks, you make 2. This one was fun because you made the same exact fabrics instead of different fabrics, so you know, it was more like I could mass produce it. A quilt would not be complete without bow tie blocks. And this is the one that we use for the sew along that we did last year with Joanna, where we made a bow tie quilt. I don't know if that quilt, what I did with that quilt. What do you think I did with that quilt? I think it's really pretty. I think we're going to hang it in someone's office, but I really liked that quilt. The crisscross block. Now on these, I struggle with square and a square blocks at all times. It's just not something that I've been able to perfect on my own, and I think that's because I sew so fast. So on these, I use square and a square paper. I covered the entire square instead of just part of the square, and then I added 3 corners. Just a cheat if you wanted to do that. The cross and crown block, you make 2. And huge shout out to Denise and Ashley who put all this together, because I have my stuff all over the place and it is, I think, just as much work to organize all this hot mess as me sewing it. And oh, also shout out to Teresa. She starches everything for me and assembles the block. This is the strawberry blossom block. This one was really fun. This is really cute. And again, you can see I pressed open. It looks really good. And now if you see any mistakes in my blocks, let me know, because from time to time you guys find mistakes, which is really lovely. I actually really enjoy when you find mistakes because then I can fix them. This is the summer star block. This is the blossom block. Now, if you follow Joanna Figueroa on social media, she has said several times that this block right here is one of her very favorite blocks. I can't think of the exact name of it, like the exact antique name, but she has used this block in a lot of her quilts, and I'm sure she will continue to. And these I use square and a square paper. This is the double star block. The picket fence block. Now this one was kind of tricky because I had to make sure these 2 went on opposite ends. So, you know, I might have done it wrong the first time I did it. You never know. Now this one was oh my gosh, this took me, I don't know, 8 hours. How many hours do you think?
At least, I know, 2 days.
It took 2 days. So this took a hot minute. And one thing I do with blocks like this is I'll try to mass produce them. And I'll talk through, and since I made this the other day, well, very recently, I can tell you what I did. So I think there's 27, 28, I don't know. There's a lot. Okay, this one, I thought it would be so fun to make this block bigger and trim it down. I should have never done that. That was way too much work. It just did not work. I would highly, highly recommend you do not do that. But what I did is I made one block first, just to make sure I have my half square triangle sizes correct. You know, right here I have that correct. So then after I did the first block, I made a couple, maybe 3 or 4, and then I went in and did all my big half square triangles at one time. Stopped. Then I did these are kind of like flying geese, but they have a bigger seam allowance here. All of those at one time. Sewed all of these at one time. Added this last. And I had to divide it up into 2 different days. It just took a really long time. This was probably the most difficult, but to be honest, I made it difficult. And that's kind of what I do with my life. Kevin is always kind of lecturing me about, you could do a little bit less. But, you know, sometimes I just don't know how to do that. So that's the majority of the blocks. Next time you see this, it will be done. Let me show you what I still have to do. The posy blocks. And on these, I'm going to do the same method as I did with I just have to find the blocks. Right here. Sorry. So these right here are 6.5. These right here are 4.5. So it's the same block but smaller, different colorways, and you make a 5, 5, and 4. I'm going to do that same thing where I cover the entire square in a square, just cover 3 corners and then put those together. But like always, I'll do one test block, make sure I have it right before I cut the rest. And then from there, and I'll do a video of that. From there, Teresa is going to put this together for me. So thank heaven for Teresa. This is my least favorite part, is putting a quilt together. And actually, I enjoy it. Like if I was at a retreat, I would enjoy it. But trying to do all the videos for you guys and try to give you tips or, you know, just different things, it's impossible for me to do it all. So huge shout out to Teresa who's going to do that. Now, on this block right here, 2 extra were made. So what Teresa's going to do is put these on the back, the leftovers on the back of my quilt, and put those kind of somewhere in the back with the label. So that is Strawberry Garden, Joanna Figueroa. Love it. The Jelly and Jam collection. Love it. Thank you to Joanna for letting us publish this book for you. The next quilt along is the Quilted Scarecrow. It started in June of 2024 and it goes to May. So I have shown you most of these blocks. Because I'm not at the very end of the quilt, I'm just going to show you the 2 blocks I made since last time. This one is next. Just so you know, on my list. And I made these this week, I think. Didn't I do them this week?
Yeah,
Wednesday, 2 days ago. And, oh, you want to see a mistake? Do you want to zoom in, Jordan? I made a mistake right here. Y'all want to see a mistake? Okay. I was going Kimberly fast. That means I was watching a documentary and not paying attention. And right here, I accidentally put this corner square right here. Well, I didn't have enough fabric to redo this. So I ripped this out, put it on here, and then sewed a brown here, and you can't even tell. But, you know, sometimes you make mistakes. Even I make mistakes. That's called I Was Engrossed in. If I'm in a really good documentary, I kind of am more likely to make mistakes. And this one I also have been pressing open. So that is the crow block. That's kind of fun to show a mistake. And then my pumpkin block. And this pumpkin block, she has done versions of this in other things. What I really like about it is it kind of has depth because, like, you know, the colors overlap. This is really pretty. Love this. I think this would be really cute if you just made like 6 of these and put them across as a table runner. You could do this or you could not. One thing I thought about doing here was to keep all of my stripes straight up and down. But what I did, when I do something like that where I'm going to do them all straight up and down, I will just cut just like normal, and then I'll back into and redo what I need to do that's straight up and down. So when I sewed everything, before I put it together, I was like, you know what? It looks good. It looks good because it kind of looks like a stint, like it kind of looks like, you know, greenery. So I decided to leave it the way it was. So, you know, you can always do that. So, you know, you can, when you're doing yours, do yours all the same direction or change it. Up to you. The Quilted Scarecrow. Okay, so this one is going all the way to May of 2025. This is my next one. This will probably take a day or two. Obviously, the milk can, the outside will be the hardest. This will be the easiest. But, you know, I'm kind of to the end. So then I'll do the rake. The rake's going to be pretty easy. And then finishing. The little spiral blue quilting journals are out of print. Will we get more? We are working on something that's going to replace that. It'll be a couple of months. If you're in the Sew Sampler box, you will be getting that first. The next quilt is called Star Climber. This is our free Fat Quarter Shop pattern for 2025. Every year, Jocelyn puts together a really cute free pattern. And we have written this. Did we write it both traditional and... Oh, I think we just wrote it for paper. So I could not decide what I wanted to do here. We're making a table topper and a lap, so that was my first decision. I decided to make the lap. So I took, at the end of last year, or in the fall of last year, Lori put together some bundles that are super cute, and they're called B Bundle Limited Edition, and there's a color bundle and a background bundle, and they mix different collections. And I just love that fabric. So I decided to go ahead and make this quilt right here with scraps. So each month I'll make a couple of different ones. And so what I'll do is just, you know, whatever I feel like I can do for that day, I'll cut. So here are the blocks I have so far. It is, if you're doing the lap, you need the Woven Star 6-inch and the Woven Star Courthouse Step 6-inch. If you're doing the table topper, you need the 4-inch. And so this one is going to be all about scrappy. It's going to be really, you know, there's some busy backgrounds, there's some light backgrounds. And so this one, my goal is, I really like this Woven Star paper. I just really think it's fun, and I don't know, I just feel like it's just really, it's a satisfying paper, if that makes sense. And this block, you know, would be almost impossible to make paper pieced, not paper pieced, if that makes sense. I mean, you could do it, but it would be like, you would have a lot more seams. So this one's a lot of fun. So I don't know, maybe I'm about 15% done or so. But it's fun using, basically what I do is I just take those bundles and I just cut each fabric once. And then, so like on here and the free pattern, it tells you what you're cutting for your lap. So I will just cut each fabric once, and then I'll just make all the blocks with that. And then if I have leftovers from that, I'll save it for the next time I'm going to do it. And then this is going to be all about fabric placement when we put this together, so that we keep, like busy backgrounds would go next to less busy backgrounds, if that makes sense. And you can get the Star Climber free pattern at Fat Quarter Shop. Okay, Vintage Christmas. This one I'm very excited about because this one we're doing a quilt along. We have had so many questions. I am going to show you the first 12 blocks. I made these from the quilt kit that we're selling. And if you want your quilt to be the exact same colorway that Lori colored here, you can take screenshots of this, or you can go to our blog monthly. Today, I'm going to be showing you for the first time the 4 March blocks. I'm going to also do this where I flip the book, and I am sewing this in order of the book. So we have Away in a Manger, Candy Cane blocks, Christmas Candles block, and the Christmas Star block. So I believe these are January. Now, Kylie has made it super easy. So if you go to our blog and you click on the images, you can see this. You can print them. So you can make this exactly like Lori designed. So that's January. You've seen those before maybe. These are all the 6-inch size. Cozy Star, Dolly. Now on this one, Teresa's needs to do the eyes and the mouth. Can you give that to her? Mm-hmm. For the embroidery? I haven't done that. Fresh cut trees. Do I have them all? Yeah, I have them all in there, right, Jordan? Okay. And the gingerbread house. And then can she also do the embroidery on this one? Sorry. Now this one, I will tell you, when I looked at this, I didn't do a great job cutting this straight, but when it's in the quilt, you won't notice it. When you're looking at that little piece right there, you notice it, but when it's done, you won't. So those are February. Now I'm going to show you March. So take a screenshot if you don't want to wait for the blog. That's going to show, so March 1st, she'll switch out images. Well, she'll add the March images. Glimmer block, glisten block, I'm off somewhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I probably went too fast. I'll lay them out again.
Yeah.
Okay, so Away in a Manger.
Candy cane.
Candy cane. Could have sewn them out of order too. Christmas candies. Oh, sorry. Candy swirl. That's January. Apologize. No. Yes, that's January. The blog is correct. Sorry, guys. Christmas Star, City Sidewalks, Cozy Star, and the Dolly Block are February. Now on this one, the one thing I did want to point out is I did the baby Jesus and I did fussy cut that. That is February. Now I'm going to show you March. I apologize. Fresh cut tree. This one was fun to make. Gingerbread house. Glimmer. And glisten. So these are your March blocks. So you can take a screenshot of that if you want to get ahead and do your March blocks. And so on this sew along, just as a summary on the Vintage Christmas Quilt Along, we have a blog that is going to house exactly how I make my blocks according to what Lori picked, so that you can always find that as a resource. We do have plenty of quilts left over. Yay! Thank you for helping me with that, Denise. And then here is the printout of this, and you can find this on our blog too. And thank you to Teresa, who's going to do all the embroidery for me. You know who used to do my embroidery was Cassidy. Lori's daughter would do it for me. She's now married and has kids, and I don't think she has time for that anymore. The next one is Quilted Snowman. This one I started, I think, last week. So this one I have done a lot of blocks in 2 weeks. And the way that I'm doing these is each month now this is just a sew along schedule. Anytime we do a sew along, it's just a suggested schedule. You don't have to sew it along that way. There's a lot of blocks each month. So each different one, I'm doing different videos for each. So like on February 22nd, you'll see half of the blocks. 2 weeks later, you'll probably see the other half, because doing a video with all of them, it just isn't going to look good and you're not going to like it. This is the snowball blocks. Now I did want to show you this. This is me making notes. I don't mind writing in my pattern like that because, and this is probably a crime to most of you. Now, if I do a book, I'm going to keep that book forever. If it's a pattern, I'm probably going to throw it away because I don't have enough room. Denise can attest to the messiness of my closet. She helped me put some stuff back where I could actually walk in the room without tripping. Kevin usually helps me organize stuff, but I just haven't had time to ask him. So these are 3.5 inches, and you make a ton. It took me a long time. These are really fun though. And you know, one thing I did notice looking at this pattern, you do a lot up front and it gets easier as you go. And I love when sew alongs are like that because you get burnt out as you go. So doing a lot up front is really the way to go. Whirling snowflake blocks. There's only 8 here. These were pretty easy. Now this one, I did this last week. I don't remember if I used square and a square paper for this or not. That's how much I sew and how much I can't remember. Do you remember? So I don't even remember how I did this. This one obviously didn't take as long. What I love about this pattern is everything is in order of the blocks. So like block 1B is in order of the blocks. So you can grab your fabrics, keep them in order, and do your blocks easily. Thank you to Donna Steptoe for the super chat. Glitter star blocks. Oh my gosh, these were so easy. This was like fun. Now, one thing I have done in the past is sometimes I'll do directional prints like this, all one direction. On this one, I decided no way, no how. If I was just making this quilt only for the year, would I do it? Yes. I didn't have time. Now, if you wanted these two blocks to look differently, I don't know if you have enough fabric to do this, but you could do one of your squares on the bias just to add variety. Just giving you some tips. I have questions. I have such a hard time with the snowball block. I could not get the corners. Is there a method you use to get yours perfect? Yes, I'll show you that in this block.
She said snowball.
Yeah, I'll show you in a second. Yes, I will answer that question. This one is the last ones that I made this week. Shimmering snowflake blocks. And you'll never notice it, but I accidentally put the backgrounds in the wrong block. So this, obviously, this red matches better over here and this yellow matches better over here. Nobody's gonna know. I'm not redoing it, and you guys wouldn't even know if I told you. Okay, so let's talk about that shimmering snowball. And I don't know, the way that Lori wrote this pattern is she wrote it where you make 9 patches and add corner squares. What I did instead was I used, it would have been helpful if I would have put notes. Just give me a second to look. I used H100 triangle paper, and I made my 4 corners using H100, then sewed it in a block, and I got a better result. Doing it this way is great. Lori just does it differently. And I always say, do whatever you love. Lori doesn't care that I use triangle paper on mine. So that's the way I did mine. I did do a reel, so I'm sure you can find that somewhere. I'm sure we've posted it. And this pattern is available as a PDF or as a paper pattern. We do have quilts in stock. The schedule is available online. Again, we started this one in 2025, and I have done all of my blocks through February. And I will be starting my March blocks any day. And what I try to do is do my blocks about 2 weeks before the launch date so that I can have time to do a video and, you know, all the things. So I'm excited that I am on track. My very favorite part of this quilt is the snowman, though. And if you look at it, you can see we've done a lot of the small blocks. And then as the book goes, you get bigger pieces. Bigger pieces are easier. So we've got a lot of the meat done if you're sewing along with this. And I just kind of keep track of what I've done here. And I'll put the sew along schedule in here. It just kind of keeps me organized. Now, when we move this to the finish binder, I'm going to take this out. Because at that point, you know, Denise doesn't need it. I don't need it. The quilt's done. And I keep this paper in here just in case, you know, I need to see layout. Now we're moving to the dragon fruit block of the month. I have done the blocks for October, November, December, January. The February blocks should be in your mailbox already. You should already have them. I will be doing those this weekend. I'm going to show you these in no particular order. because the pattern is at home. So you make each month, well, January, you made blocks that are identical. And this is an exclusive block of the month that was designed by Jocelyn for Fat Quarter Shop. The pattern, the paper pads, everything was exclusive to the block of the month. The block of the month is completely sold out. So these, I think, are January. Well, I don't know. They're just whatever. They're whatever. What are they?
It was your first shipment, October.
Okay, so that was January. Oh, October.
Yeah.
Sorry, month 1. Jordan, will you zoom out a little bit, please? And then this, I think, is your second month, which is, this one also is designed where it gets easier. So you can see you first start with 4-inch. Then you move to, I believe, 6-inch. And these I'm filming little reels so that you can kind of see how I cut my fabric and then kind of put them together. This is January's. And I, like I said, will be doing February's this weekend. And this one, you get the pattern up front. So if you want to, you can kind of start assembling the final quilt if you have blocks that go together. I'm not going to do that. And I love this one because it is foundation paper piecing, and I love the method of doing that. I have been doing these. The only thing that I'm pressing open is when I put the blocks together. That's the only time I'm pressing open. So that's been keeping me busy. Just keep asking your questions. I am going to answer them. The next sew along is Brightly Sampler. This one is from the Family Favorites book by Sherry McConnell and Chelsea Stratton. This started in October of 2024 and it goes all the way to August of 2025. I would encourage you to go to Sherry McConnell's A Quilting Life YouTube channel, subscribe there. She is also doing these blocks, and I think she's doing the same fabrics, but I can't remember. But she gives tips that are different than the tips that I give. Now, obviously, I've sewn all of them because I got ahead, but I'm only going to show you the ones that are up to where we're at right now. And then this is the quilt colored using the fabric kit. So we have a Brightly Sampler fabric kit. It does not come with the book. And so I'm using that for my layout. And here is your quilt along schedule. So in October and November, you made 4 album mosaic blocks. And these were colored by Sherry and Chelsea, and I'm just sewing them exactly the way they have them. So those are your album mosaic. For December and January, you make 4 fancy blocks. This is also a quilt that would be great to just use your stash. You could use Sherry and Chelsea fabric. You can use any fabric you like. Then for February and March, you made happy dance blocks. Now this one, I just did scrappy. I did not follow the layout. I didn't think that was necessary. Let me see, turn this one this way. So on these blocks, you know, I followed their coloring. On this one, I just made half square triangles using like one of each or something. Just made it easy for myself. Let me know if you're sewing along with this. And this one is this one would be a great quilt to gift because it's easier piecing, and I don't know, I just think the design of it's very classic and very, you know, very easy, and I think, you know, most people would like something like this. The next quilt I'm so excited about. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth of this one since we haven't talked about it very much yet. Corey Yoder is a motive fabric designer, and her most recent collection is Cali Co by Moda. She is making this with a fat eighth bundle that is now sold out. I am so sorry. We sold out of this fabric so fast. So if you go to Coriander Quilts blog, you can print this page. This tells you exactly what fabric you need. Ignore this. When we printed this, the fabric just didn't print. That's just like some kind of glitch with us, so ignore that. Now, she also gives you the release dates. Today is Valentine's Day. Tomorrow, her second block comes out. So make sure tomorrow on Saturday you go and look at her blog. She will have a blog post and she will have a video. I'm going to talk about January's block, and I'm going to talk about kind of what I'm doing and a fun thing she's doing. Okay, so this is the block one. Now, I have an alpha bitty and I have a little clip. I can tell you we have something fun coming with the alpha bitties that you guys have been asking for years. And Kelly finally found somebody who can make. I do not settle for anything. I will not put out a product unless me and Kevin are 100% behind it. And it just took us that long to find something that we felt was good enough to put the It's So Emma name on it. Thank you, Kelly, for finding it. It's going to be a couple of months out. But this tells me what month I'm on. Because I want to keep these together, I'm going to tell you why. This is month 1. Completely free pattern you printed out at Coriander Quilts. This is using the Cali Co bundle. When you look at that bundle, there is some charcoal, I guess, like gray right there. And I love gray. So I kept all the fabric. I didn't throw it away or anything, but I just wanted my quilt to be springy. And sometimes if you put gray in a quilt that's dark, you have to really pay attention to color placement. So I decided to not use those. So I ended up having to use a fat quarter bundle, not a fat eighth bundle. So you make this block. Each of the blocks will end up with this outside area the same. So like these two and this will be the same. What changes each time is here. Now, what she has you do, and it's going to make sense when I show it to you this way. Denise gave me this great idea. Okay, so when you sewed this together, right? This was a corner square before it was trimmed down. This was a corner square. You sewed right here. You cut a 1/4 inch away and you flipped open. With what was left, you sew with a 1/4 inch seam, you press open and you trim down. This is this. She wants you to make all of these, so save all of these, and then at the end, she's going to give you a surprise project. What that project is, I don't know. Now, my tip for you is when I did this, I did a scant 1/4 inch so that I could trim down to the exact size. I don't remember the exact size, but I did do, I mean, it's not too scant of a seam, but I did a little bit smaller than a 1/4 inch so that I could trim these down. So this is month 1. Very exciting. Thank you to Corey for giving us a free pattern. I love when we get free patterns. And I love this because then we're going to get a bonus quilt. I don't know what it's going to be, but super excited. And she does give you cutting for the entire fat quarter bundle up front, or fat eighth bundle. You can decide what you prefer to do. And this background is from the collection Cali Co. Okay, that one I'm really excited about, but this next two, I mean, I just went crazy loving this. Okay, should I hold it? No? Okay. This is the front.
Mm-hmm.
That's the back.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to kind of talk about it before I open it and show you. Joanna Figueroa is the designer for Fig Tree Quilts. She announced in January a free quilt along for Valentine's Day, where every Wednesday she posted a block for 5 different weeks. So I decided to participate. At the time, she sold bundles, like some Valentine bundles on her site using fabrics that she thought would look good. So I decided to just use Love Blooms by Layla Boutique because I loved it. So I used the fat quarter bundle. I used all kinds of fabrics, but I used a lot. You didn't need this much fabric. I did cut my border 6.5 inches, which is wider than what she cut. You make 13. Okay, we're gonna ignore all that. That was just like notes I used. Okay, so this is the quilt and this is how mine looks. So the only difference between mine and hers is the fabric collection used and my border. This is not quilted, of course. So, and I did different fabric placement also. Is that as far as you can go? Okay. So what I did was I made all of my hearts the darkest red. I made all of my 4 patches the medium red. My 4 patches here that are big, I did the ones around the outside with busy backgrounds. This is my center star. I did the 4 patches around it the lightest pink. So what I tried to do was use as much of that bundle as I could. Now I ended up having to buy more of these right here. And I did the 4 that I put here are different than the ones I put here. So I just had to really sit, look at her instructions and decide how to cut that bundle up to use it most effectively. Let's see how I pressed. I pressed the hearts open and everything else to one side. So this is my front. This ended up being 72 inches square, if that's right. That seems about right. Don't quote me, but I wrote down 72 inches. So you know what? It must be right because over here I had to do 82 inches. So yeah, mine came out 72 inches. So then I had a ton of fabric left over because I had bought all this fabric and I was like, I don't want to, my stack was like huge. And I do like to save leftovers because I end up doing fun stuff with it, you know, the next year or even years later. But there was way too much left over. So I thought I could get rid of it by making a piece backing. So that was step 1. Now, for my piece backing, I ended up putting a heart in the center, 4 patches, solids. I'll show it to you. But this was my idea of using up all the leftovers. And I'll show you this when it's quilted. And we do have some styled photos online. When we hold these up and they're not quilted, they're not that great. So here's the backing of this quilt. I made an extra heart block. I put a label in here from Sweetwater. It says, "Be Mine, Kimberly Jolly." And then I use solids, 4 patches, solid. So that goes across the horizontal of the back. And I actually pieced this one all myself. I didn't even have Teresa help me, which I'm so excited. And then I had a lot of leftover because I had cut my border length of fabric. So I used that to divide the strip from this. This was what I had picked for my backing, and that is so busy. And if I would have just put this to this, it just would have looked like a hot mess. So I did that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I still have a huge stack of fabric. I cannot put that in my stash. So I made a whole nother quilt. So that was made, that was made in January. And then a couple of weekends ago, I had let me show you this. This is gonna be my binding. And I am going to add, well, actually Teresa's gonna do it. Large vintage trim Riley coral in the binding. Now that almost matches this perfectly. I cannot believe that it does, but it is like almost the exact match. And I think that's gonna look really good. I'm actually gonna show it to you on the quilt top. Thank you. Oh, it's a little bit different. So basically, I'm going to put the binding. This is my border. This is my binding. And then I think a different color was an exact match. This one had a little bit of contrast, but look how good that matches. Do you want to zoom in, Jordan, pretty please? I think it's just really, it's just going to bring all those colors together. And I have a spool of every vintage trim in my stash. That's the large. I use the large more than the small. And so I just walked over, got my vintage trim, looked at it and thought, okay, this matches, and that's what I'm gonna use. So I really love this. I love that I was able to, take the time, add it, and I love to show you guys when designers offer free patterns because it's a great opportunity for you to go to your stash and use up your stash. And you can always make your quilt smaller, if you didn't want to make it this big, you don't have to. Okay, so I made this quilt, right? I had a huge stack of fabric left, and I'm talking a big old fabric. And I was like, I am not putting that up. I'm running out of space. I don't have room. So I made another quilt. So here's the front of that quilt. And I did this, it took about 8 hours. I thought it was gonna take about 4 hours, if you wanna know the truth. And then I started and I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, so this uses the leftovers from that quilt. I use the 6-inch woven star paper. My borders are 3.5 inches wide. Let's talk about what I did. Okay, the sashing, these right here, you need 12 1.5 by 6.5 inch rectangles. You need 8 1.5 inch cornerstones, and those are gonna go here and here. This inner border is 1.5 by 20.5. One of the borders is 3.5 by 22.5. And the outer border is this one is 3.5 by 28.5. Now you can see these two borders and these two borders are different fabrics. That's because I was using leftovers. I was tempted to, buy some more of this, and I thought, no, I need to use what I have. So this is a quilt that I made up. I am calling it the Love Blooms Woven Star. So if you want to make this, you need the 6-inch woven star paper, a background, some cornerstones, and a border fabric. But what I want to show you is I want to show you my fabric placement here versus what we show on the cover of the woven star block. So just hand me one of those to your left. Oh yeah, yeah. Perfect. Let me see the pad. Do you have the pad?
No.
It's okay. No, it's fine. Okay, the previous quilt is the 2025 Valentine Fig Tree Quilt Along free pattern on Joanna Figueroa's blog. This is what I used making my leftovers, and I did have enough leftover background. So this is the woven star pad that you can get. It's foundation paper piecing. This is the 6-inch size. If you look at the cover, we use 8 fabrics. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ever since I saw this paper, I knew this would be so cute if you did 2 opposing fabrics, or you could do 4 different fabrics. So you could use 8 fabrics, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can use 4 fabrics, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can use 2 fabrics, 1, 2. And when I looked at my stash, there was not enough of 8 fabrics to make a star because it's really, just 3 colorways. So there weren't, it's a smaller collection. There's not enough. So I just used, I don't think I duplicated any of these. And then these, and I did have to kind of cut very gently to get this. So this is my leftover. It finishes at 28.5 inches square. It took me about 8 hours. So that's the front. And I will show you this quilted. Now this one, I'm using the same binding from the other quilt because I always have leftover binding. I always buy extra. So I'm going to use the same binding here. I don't think I'm going to put any vintage trim in this one because this is a smaller quilt and I don't think it needs it. I don't think it needs it. Bless you. So this is, I didn't have to buy anything to make this quilt. For my backing, if you want to know the truth, I don't even remember what I did. Oh, yeah, I don't even remember what I did. This is called really using scraps. So this month, when you get the Sweetwater labels, they kind of go with the theme of the month. So I've been running out of them. So I was lucky that I got a love one, and so I just covered it. Let me look at what size these are. These are 6.5 inches cut. So basically I just, cut leftover fabrics, and then I had some big strips left over and I used those. So this backing is not beautiful, but I didn't have to buy anything. So this one was just, took the day off on a Friday. My kids had off, I think, the day of school, and I was like, you know what? They can stay home and play on the Xbox, and I can sew a quilt. So, and keep asking your questions. I am going to answer them. So that is a second quilt that I just made up. And so, really with this, all I really had to do, I already had the 6-inch woven paper. And I really wanted to show you guys the difference of how it looks with different fabrics. And so that gave me the opportunity too. Now I do still plan to do one where I do 4 different fabrics. And we're going to send these off to the quilter, and the next time you see them will be quilted. The 25 patch quilts. I started this in 2023. This is my layout. Once I do this layout, I will write out for you exactly what I do, and we can do a blog post on it. So So we'll make a note to put a blog post on it, but we're not going to do a blog post on the finishing until I actually finish it, because I change my mind when I finish things. So these are my newest blocks. I have 23. I need 7 left. This is the Summertime Collection by Camille Ross Kelly. A Bloom by Corey Yoder. And on each of these blocks, I did 25 different squares. Every square is a different collection, and they're all cut 2.5 inches. There is a blog post right now on how to make the blocks. The finishing, I will give you information once I do it, because I'm most likely going to change my mind when I get to it. This is A Very Sweet Christmas by Ann Sutton. Peace and Plenty by Lori Holt. And Nantucket Summer by Camille Ross Kelly. So I started this in 2023. Hopefully this year I should be done. And I'm thinking this one would be really fun on the back to put a big 90-inch wide Shannon on it, because it's going to be so busy on the front. I'm just going to have to put a plain gray on the back. I feel like putting any kind of quilted print on the front is going to clash with one of the collections. So this one's going to be more of a thick, cozy, my kids will use it quilt. So that's the 25 patch. I know you guys are probably sick of seeing it. You're probably like, girl, you've been showing me that for 2 years. I don't care anymore. Guess what? I don't care anymore either, but I got to find 7 more collections to use. So when I envisioned this, I thought it would go quicker. Okay, another new free quilt along is the 2025 of Quilting Life block of the month. If you go to Sherry McConnell's A Quilting Life blog or her YouTube channel, all the information is there. She's giving you 3 different options. I am making the blocks the 18.5-inch size, and I just started with a Raspberry Summer Fat Quarter Bundle. Now, the Raspberry Summer Fat Quarter Bundle is in stock. The yardage will be coming later, and I will tell you later in the live stream that date, so that you know when yardage is coming. And I have not picked my binding, my border, or my backing, and I don't know my quilt size. So I always put these little TBDs here so that I remember to put them in for Denise, so that if we need it in a couple of years, we can find it. So I started with Raspberry Summer, but then I made the first block with Raspberry Summer. And then I ended up pulling my Laguna Sunrise, the peaches from it, to add to the Raspberry Summer. So, and my background is from Laguna Sunrise. So this is actually 37685-31. That is in stock now, because this is the previous collection of Sherry and Chelsea's, and I don't have the new Raspberry Summer, so I don't have a background to use, so I'm using this one. So this is all Raspberry Summer. This is the free pattern. She's using a lot of different colors. My idea for my quilt is to use like greens in one. My February is peaches. And these are what I pulled from Laguna Sunrise. Now that I have only made these 2 blocks, so I am not sure my colorway going forward. I have not, sometimes I'll make a quilt all at once. This one, I haven't. This one's going to be really cute, I think. Definitely follow Sherry and thank her for giving us a free quilt pattern. I'm excited about it, because the thing that I feel bad about is that I don't know exactly what I'm doing for the whole year. So what I'm telling you now is just what I've done so far. You know, when I first started, I was just going to use the Raspberry Summer. Well, then I added Laguna Sunrise. That just came straight from my stash. I didn't have to buy anything. So I'm going to keep it all Sherry and Chelsea fabric, and I'm hoping that I have some type of diagonal layout with where like colors go together, but I haven't gotten that far. Thank you to Nancy Witten for the super chat. So this is the Quilting Life Block of the Month 2025 freebie. I've been busy, guys. I have been so productive. It feels so good to be like so productive. The Woven Star Scrappy. I've shown some of these to you. I'm going to show you some of the newer ones, and then this is Precious Petites by Jerry Robinson, which is a Riley Blake fabric. This is Sun Washed by Corey Yoder. I found some of this in my stash to use. So this is an older collection. This is a new collection. And this is April's Garden by April Cornell and Benartex Fabrics. This fabric right here is Coriander Seeds. It's 29146-11. Now on this Woven Star, I'm using 8 different fabrics from a collection. It's very charm pack friendly, and I'm using the same white throughout. I have made 27 blocks, and I am going to make 80 blocks. And so like you can kind of see here, I haven't decided everything, but I'm kind of thinking 80 blocks. This is kind of my idea for the border. I always change this. So I put it in pencil in case I want to change it. Now I'll show you a couple of other blocks just so you can see the look I'm going for. I am trying to keep the colors very fresh and cheerful. That's kind of what I'm doing. I'm trying to not do anything too dark. These two are the same collection, so one of these is going to go on the back. We'll put a little note for Teresa. And then these are just other collections. So these, as what I do is I check the What's New page, and if I see something that's a charm pack that I like, I buy the charm pack and I make a block, and then I save the leftover squares in a bin. Oh my gosh, this one's the same too. Oh my gosh, I must have made 3 from the same collection. There you go. But what my goal is to have 80 different collections, so it's very scrappy. Some of these are from my stash. Some of these are new. So it's just a mix of all kinds of designers. And of course, I will probably end up making like 86 or 87 blocks, so that when Teresa goes to put it together, if there's a block that sticks out, we can stick that on the back. So this one is using the Woven Star. Oh, this one is using the Woven Star 6-inch paper. And now I'm remembering, I am using the Grandma's Donut Quilt in the Scrappiness is Happiness book, page 138. So I have picked my layout, and then I have written out the instructions from that book. Of course, I might change my mind. I am going to need 99 2-inch cornerstones. And on cornerstones, and I'm doing something scrappy, I generally do not decide if I'm going to do one color or scrappy. Sometimes if you do scrappy cornerstones with scrappy blocks, it's just like vomit. So I'm hoping that I can find like one color to use for the cornerstone so that it kind of doesn't get so busy. Obviously, I haven't picked that SKU. Another free quilt along that started in 2025 is on Riley Blake Designs website. When you go to their site, there is a link for sew alongs. All the information is there. You have your schedule, and you have this picture. You can find this picture on the FQS blog. This is thank you to Lori Holt for coloring this using her Peace and Plenty collection. This is also, so this is on Fat Quarter Shop's website. It's also on Riley Blake's website. The block patterns are actually on the designers' pages. So you would go to their blog and then click to each designer. I started with a Peace and Plenty Fat Quarter Bundle. And the yardage here is listed on our blog. This is block 1. Designed by Lori Holt. Again, mine is in Peace and Plenty. Block 2 is designed by Bev McCullough of Flamingo Toes. Block 3 was designed by Jennifer Long. Lori changed the block though completely. If you want to make the block like this is the original block. If you want to make it like this, if you go to the Fat Quarter Shop blog, we give you the unfinished sizes. So those you can figure out how to make this way. The 4th block is by Fran Golick. It's called Twirl. The 5th block is by Heather Mulder Peterson. It's called Flower Patch. So this is where I'm at so far. I did start with the Fat Quarter Bundle. I might have to buy extra fabrics. I might run out of fabrics. It's just kind of what I started with. Really fun. What I love about this is Lori has already designed the colors, so I can go a lot faster if somebody has already thought out the colorways. So really fun. Okay, so from there, everything past here is future. So these are things that we will be doing later in 2025. I have paperwork in here. I have stuff filled out, but I have nothing to show you. But that's kind of my future section. Before we show all the quilts that I have to show you, which is kind of our quilt show, I'm going to answer questions. Sorry, I need to get a drink real quick. Can you explain the Moda silky fabric? I believe it is called. I just saw it mentioned on Sherry and Chelsea's podcast. Okay, so Moda Bella Solids are just Bella Solids. There are Moda Bella Solids called Silky, and they have a S on the end of the SKU. What that means is it's a higher price point, but it is the same gray goods, which gray goods means the cloth, that the regular cotton is printed on. So it's a higher quality. I usually just use the regular solids. It's up to you on what you like. Is anyone from FQS going to QuiltCon? Yes. Marissa, who does the blog, is going, and Marissa, who does social media, is going, and Kylie, who does the blog, is going. Tori has a question. I have a question about the next BOM for Joanna. Is the new Christmas block of the month going to be structured as a block of the month where we get charged every month or as one big kit? Okay, I believe on that one, if I remember correctly, it's going to be one big kit. The price is not online because what we do is we wait for that pattern to come. Nova and Cheryl go page by page. We calculate the fabric so that you have enough so you can starch. So I think it's going to be one big kit. I might actually sew it also. So Denise will put it on my maybe list. And I've been really good this year about keeping on track and sewing and being really efficient. So the more efficient I am, the more I can add to my list. So that's always a good feeling. The Woven Star papers are now back in stock. We have a ton in stock. We have 6-inch and 4-inch. One of the questions in my chat is there going to be a 12-inch? Right now, we don't think so because that pad would be this big and it would probably cost $20 for the pad of paper. So we are working on an 8-inch. The logistics is the paper cost. You might have noticed we've been doing less It's So Emma books. That is because paper cost has gotten astronomically high and it is much more expensive to print books. Minna says, question for the Sew Sampler box. To receive the February box, when was the deadline for subscribing? I signed up January 31st. You'll get the box. Anna May asks, my blocks are often a smidge too small. On this project, should I cut your background larger and trim down? Now, that is all a personal choice, and I would say for your first couple of years of quilting, just do like normal. My blocks usually come out 1/4 inch to 3/8 inch too small most of the time. Like that's like generally what happens. I don't worry about it. Now, if I have a lot of time on my hands, I will make the blocks bigger and trim down. It kind of depends what kind of mood I'm in. But I would not do that until you're much more experienced. Sorry, I'm really thirsty. Can Kimberly talk about new books coming out this year from It's So Emma? Okay, we have a new Jolly Bar book 5 that will be coming out. That is going to the printer very soon. Denise, you want to help me out? We have a new fat quarter book that has, is it 16 fat quarters or 12 fat quarters? It's not online yet. So we do have a new fat quarter. It uses 12 fat quarters. I can't remember how many are in the book off the top of my head. That's going to be coming out in the fall. It's going to be going online for pre-sale in March. I think that's it for this year. Like I said, paper costs have been astronomically high, and I am very adamant on keeping our books printed in the United States. And if I just kept printing books and books and books, and then I started charging $50 for every book, you guys would just say that I'm gouging you. So it's just kind of a fine balance between funding and providing and not doing like too much that's unaffordable. I did use charm packs for the woven stars or my scraps. So from those, it kind of depends what, a lot of it I just pulled off. I went through box by box from my shelf, and if it fit the look I was going for, I made one. Like I have a lot of Minnick and Simpson fabric that I have left over. I have a lot of Fig Tree Halloween fabric that's left over. I have, but those didn't fit the look. So if I had it on my shelf, I used it. And then going forward, I will use anything left over from projects. Like I'll make Peace and Plenty. I think I've already made one. My goal on that is just one block per collection. Will I be getting any more Hometown Fat Quarter bundles by Lori Holt? I think so. Yeah, I think I'm waiting on some more SKUs to arrive. The quilt on my left side. That quilt is last year's free pattern from Fat Quarter Shop called Star Climber. No.
That one, Star Spangled.
Star Spangled. This is not a free pattern. This is Star Spangled pattern by Kim Deal, colored using my Fat Quarter Club by Lori Holt. This is a free pattern by Lori Holt using her 6-inch heart pieced paper. Will there be fabric requirements for the charity quilt? Yes, those will be available closer to when the charity starts. Is there a video on the woven star paper? Yes, it's on our channel. When does Cottage Charm come out? Modus
ET is March 10th.
March 10th. Moda Fabrics is behind on their delivery, so we are updating as we get it, but they're like a couple of weeks behind. So now I'm going to do a trunk show, and I'm going to show you quilts. Each one of these is different in terms of delivery date. So this first quilt features Peace and Plenty by Lori Holt. It's called Cakewalk. Oh, I thought you were gonna put it on the table. So I was trying to get out of your way. So cute. We have so many kits. This one I want to make. I think this would be just so cute in a kitchen. So I'm gonna put this on the table so you can see the detail on it. Sorry. This was pieced by Teresa and quilted by Joanna Marsh. I think that's a great spot for it. So you can get this pattern either as a paper or PDF. And I wanted to talk about it. It's so cute and it could use your stash. This is what I think sets it apart. These are large vintage trims, just like the one I showed you earlier that comes on a roll. Now, if you buy the kit, we've already cut, so you don't have to have the whole roll. We've cut the rickrack for you. So what I want to show you is something really neat in this pattern. We tell you exactly how to cut the vintage trim, and it goes in order of the pattern. So you've got this and 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 this, and then it kind of goes. Then you kind of repeat. But what you do to do this, zoom in, Jordan, if you can. And this is what I think sets Lori, well, this is what I know sets Lori apart from everybody. This is just a rectangle. You put your vintage trim down and you can sew it out. Right there you can see Teresa used matching thread to sew it down, just a straight line, and then you sew it into the seam. This is gray thread. And then the touch is this beautiful red. So we have a ton of quilt kits left. I really want to sew this. I want to hang this up in our break room. So I just think it's so cute. It's just really happy. So, oh, and the back. Here's the back. So this one is in stock. This one's 50 by 54. The kit, what's great about the kit is you don't have to buy the full spool. We give you enough to where you have extra where you can trim it down. Designed by Lori Holt. So this one is in stock. Let me kind of pull it up so you can see all of the cakes. In case you get the kit and you want to put the rickrack in the same exact spot. And this is her classic, scallop border. Okay, this next quilt is called Gathering Wildflowers. This is a coming soon quilt. So this quilt we're borrowing from Moda Fabrics. The pattern is Gathering Wildflowers. The collection is Super Bloom. It's 52 by 57. This will come in April. I'm going to show you the back. Oh. That's fine. Oh, we gotta flip it. So this right here is the brand new spotted thatched. So there's a thatched solid, now there's a spotted thatched. And this right here is an ombre fabric. So this is not pieced, if that makes sense. It's just one big rectangle. So here is the pattern cover. And Tammy Vondersmit made this. Maggie Honeyman quilted it. And thank you to Moda for letting us borrow it. That one is coming in April 2025. This one is so cute. Okay, this one is called Twinkle. This features the Christmas collection by Sweetwater for 2025 called Emmett and Ivory. Emmett and Ivy. It's 56 inches square. The pattern again is called Twinkle. It's by Sweetwater. It finishes at 56 inches square, and this will be in stock in June. This right here is all just standard piecing, And then this is fusible applique with, that's a blanket stitch, right? Is that what you call it?
I believe so.
Yeah, a blanket stitch. So can you zoom in, Jordan, so they can see the blanket stitch? Sorry. And it'll probably tell me who made it in a second, but see, you can see the little blanket stitches.
It's going to be at the top. Right there.
Oh. Now this backing might or might not be the backing we selected for our backing set. It probably isn't, because I usually pick those on my own. This was also a piece by Tammy Vonderschmidt, quilted by Maggie Honeyman. Emmett and Ivy is the collection, designer Sweetwater. This will come out, like I said, in June of 2025. And each, another thing I wanted to point out is each of these are squares, and you applique, and then you put them together. And it kind of has that folk art look, and I love that you piece these together. It's just, you know, just unique and original. I think it's beginner friendly. The next quilt is called Bee Garden. That's the name of the collection. It is a gingerbread collection, and this one is coming in March. This is a panel, and this is piece, and I'll show it to you on the table. That's perfect. Okay, so right here is where the panel ends. This is an inner border, and then these are all pieced. I believe this uses the Moda half rectangle ruler. Off the top of my head, I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's definitely, you know, it's not English paper pieced. You use piecing, and this is the backing they put on it. I'm not sure if it's what we put on it. This was pieced by Kelly Trimble, quilted by Kelly Trimble. And on this one, you can see she quilted to really accent the panel. And then she did diagonal lines for the hexagons. This next quilt is called Frontier. Features Star Spangled by April Rosenthal. It's 67 by 77, will be available in March, and the pattern is by Prairie Grass Patterns. One thing I forgot to mention on the last one is the pattern for the previous pattern was designed by Gingerbread, and the pattern, yeah, okay, I'm good. I got it all. I got it. Okay, I just thought I forgot something. Okay, let's turn it around. I think it's better. So this one's pretty big. This would make a great twin quilt, I would think. The quilting on this is really nice too. So again, called Frontier. This is the Star Spangled collection by April Rosenthal, 69 by 77, ships in March. Pattern is by Prairie Grass, and I love the quilting. So what this is these are horizontal, vertical, horizontal. What Jordan says no. Vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal. Well, they got it. They know I'm crazy. I don't know. Okay, and then this is the backing they put. So this is a Moda box kit coming in March. I'm going to read to you who made this. Kelly Trimble. This next quilt, I know a lot of you are going to really love. This is the Dresden Pillow and Wall Hanging Quilt. So when you get the kit, you get enough for the top of the table runner and the pillow, not the backings. This will be available in February. Actually, it's now going to be available in March because this collection is delayed. The pillow is 18 inches and the wall hanging is 40 inches. Okay, on Strawberry, on Raspberry Garden, pre-cuts are here. Yardage is the first or second week of March. Like I said, everything's a little bit delayed. Really cute. This is, I believe, using where you stitch a fabric to the, you put a right sides together, you flip out, and then you stitch down. I think the same method here. I'm sure there will be more information on this pattern on Sherry McConnell's blog. This one was stitched by Shalair Eder and quilted by Maggie Honeyman, and I wanted to show you also the back of the pillow is an envelope back. And this one's really fun. This one, the binding, she didn't do a binding, she just put the front and the back of the envelope right sides together and went around. So if you're ever in a hurry and you don't have time to put a binding on a pillow, you can do that. Patterned by a Quilting Life Designs. Oh my gosh, this one is so pretty. I'm not even gonna read it to you. I'm gonna just hold it and then we'll show you the bottom. Okay, we'll put it on the table. I love this one. Oh my gosh, I love all of her block of the months. They're just amazing. This is the Cozy Cottage Block of the Month kit. The pattern is by Mike So Quilty Life. The pattern is Cottage Charm. The fabric is set to come out middle to late March. This is a pattern set, but we are selling this as a quilt kit where you would make it all at once. And so Jordan's gonna kind of pull it up. This is one of those quilts that I would love to make. If I had time to go to a retreat, this is something I would take because I could do, you know, each day I could do a different section. And our quilt kit will have this panel in it that makes these little small pieces and you embroider on top. This is the backing she put on it. And then we'll pull back this way. Let me read you. Okay, this one made by Heather Briggs of My So Quilty Life. And then I'll pull it back this way just so you can see the detail. Let me pull all the way over. There we go. So I do have a retreat kind of planned. If I can fit it in my schedule. It's going to depend on Emma's move-in date and her dorms, if I can go or not. I've paid my deposit, so fingers crossed. And thank you to Heather for letting us borrow this. We will have the quilt kit available in March. Now, what happens with these quilt kits, we cut these in-house, so we'll get the yardage. It'll probably take us like, usually our yardage comes, and then a couple days later, our quilt kit yardage comes, and then we can cut it. Now I'm gonna show you quilts that are available now. This is Riley Blake. This is Up on the Housetop, featuring Teresa Kogut fabric. And then I'm going to show it to you. This one's very beginner friendly. This is probably the easiest one. So this one, the panel stops here. So all you do is you cut the panel, you add an inner border and an outer border. It couldn't be easier. This one comes in a boxed kit from Riley Blake Designs.
It's on the top where Jordan's hand is.
Okay. Do you want to read it? Up on the Housetop Quilt by Bluebird Patterns. This is from the Riley Blake Designs library. It does not say who made it or who quilted it. And our backing set will be different than this. This is the Layer Cake Carousel Quilt Kit featuring Cottage Charm. This is a video kit. The kit will be available when the yardage comes in stock because we have the layer cakes but not the border fabric yet. There's no waste on this fabric. On this pattern, it's just very easy and very little waste. So you get the most use of your fabric. It's designed by Jocelyn, pieced by Nova, and quilted by Joanna Marsh. And then I'll show it to you on the table. Now this one I would encourage you, this is one of our shortcut quilts. Okay, so with that, this is a block, there's 4 blocks. You could just pull if you need something for a baby shower or a housewarming gift. Everyone's got a layer cake in their stash, right? And it doesn't use a lot of waste, so you can get a whole quilt out of a layer cake. This next one is also a free pattern from Fat Quarter Shop with a video. It's called Charm Pack Chili. It's a shortcut quilt using charm packs. Features Sunday Brunch by Basic Gray. Designed by Angel. Pieced by Teresa. Quilted by Gina Tell. This quilt kit, I believe, is in stock. This fabric, Sunday Brunch, just arrived, and this is grunge on the outside. Now the next quilt that I'm going to show you, if you are in the Ruby Star Quarterly Fabric Club, I'm going to show you April. So if you don't want to see it, if you're in that club and you don't want to see it, close your eyes, but I think you're going to really like it. So in the Ruby Star Quarterly Club, as well as the Art Gallery and the Cave Club, these are exclusive patterns that we design only for those clubs. If you're in this club, you will get this kit, which has 12 fat quarters, 1 scoop spool of fabric, and a pattern. All you have to add is, I said this wrong. Jordan said 12 fat quarters and 1 spool of thread and pattern. He said I said a spool of fabric, sorry. And then I'll put it on the table. And so this one you still have time to sign up. And this uses a mix of different Ruby Star collections. It's not just one collection. And I believe these, we always list the SKUs for you that you buy additionally. I believe these are speckled. I wanted to show you this because today's Valentine's Day. We do have a couple of kits left over, not very many. This is a free PDF pattern. It's 22 by 30 and perfect and easy. You could whip it up for Valentine's Day to do today. It's called Little Love's Quilt Kit. Super cute. So this one's in stock, free pattern. So we always give you a free pattern for Valentine's Day, a free pattern for fall Halloween, and a free pattern for Christmas. I'm going to show you the free, I'm going to show you a sneak peek. So I was about to accidentally show you the whole thing. This is a sneak peek of what we'll be offering you as free in August. This one finishes at 31 by 32. It's called Autumn Nights Mystery Quilt Along. You can reserve it now. This is the look we're going for. It's fall. It's got a tad of Halloween, but we kind of do 1 year Halloween novelty, 1 year fall, just to make everybody happy. If you want to pre-sell this, if you want to pre-buy this, you can. I can tell you this year the Halloween and the Christmas will sell out. Every year is different, so depends. The next quilt you might have missed. This is called Brave and True. This is a free pattern, 56 by 80, and it features the log cabin paper right here. It uses Bella solids. We have a quilt kit available. We made this pattern free for Quilts of Valor so that you can download this at any time at Quilts of Valor website or the Fat Quarter Shop website. These are Bella solids. This is using the 12-inch foundation paper, and it's a beautiful quilt, and it fits the Quilts of Valor size requirements. And we're going to keep the quilt kits in stock for as long as possible. We're kind of hoping this will be evergreen, meaning we can keep it at all times so that anybody looking for Quilts of Valor quilt can make it. And we put a really nice chambray on the back.
There's no rhyme or reason to this.
Okay. For the cottage quilt, who quilted it? I'm actually not sure. It did not say on the quilt. It just said Heather Briggs on it. So you can email Heather Briggs and she will tell you. And she puts a lot on her blog and on social media, so it might be on there. Okay, now I'm going to show you what's new. We have a ton of what's new. And this one is called Goodnight Moon, obviously based on the book. It's by Cloud9, so it's organic, so that's why it's more expensive. They have made Goodnight Moon fabric in the past. It's always sold really well. It's really soft too. I haven't made a quilt with Cloud9 fabric, but very tempting because it's so soft. I should have looked up the words to Goodnight Moon. My kids are so old, I can't remember. Goodnight Moon, goodnight something, goodnight something. Do you remember? They're looking at me like I'm crazy. It's like you tell everybody goodnight. Goodnight house, goodnight mouse. I don't know. So that's the Goodnight Moon collection, organic. Available in fat quarter bundles and bolts. Ruby Star, several collections came out this month. This is Carousel by Melody Miller, and I'm gonna just flip through. This is a fat quarter bundle. They fold theirs differently. So we have fat quarter bundles, jelly rolls, layer cakes, charm packs, and yardage. Okay, I'm gonna open it because you can't even see the fabric. Sorry. I'll keep it in order. And Ruby Star has really thick selvage, so you can make something cute out of it. So let me know what you guys think of all the stuff I showed. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer or try to get you the answer. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate the support. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. And every Monday going forward, we are providing a recoloring. We pick something on the What's New page. We pick a free pattern that we offer and we color it just to kind of show you, you know, something on the What's New page, what it might look like in a pattern that is free. And Angel does all of those. This is Carousel by Melody Miller. The fat quarter bundle for the Lori Holt January Club. This is the bottom and that's the top. Sorry if you want to put it back together the right way. The Lori Holt Fat Quarter Club that's available at Fat Quarter Shop is hand-picked by Lori. We make the amount for the club, and if people don't pay, we put those online. So these are the ones that are left over, and they're a mix of all kinds of collections. So if you're trying to build your collection by color, and the quilt that I showed you before, I used the Fat Quarter Club from that. The CAFE. Okay, CAFE Facet. I'm going to show you these. I'll tell you the names in a second, and I'll explain, because it is kind of confusing. Will you scoot that one up, pretty please?
Yeah.
Okay, so K Facet designs for Free Spirit Fabrics. It's called K Facet Collective. So some SKUs are designed by Kay. Some SKUs are designed by Brandon Mabley. And some SKUs are designed by, his name starts with a J. I can't think of his name right now. I apologize. So it's like 100 SKUs or something crazy. So they come out twice a year. And so we buy all the yardage of the entire thing. So you can get those, and we keep them in stock until they discontinue. And then they put together a big variety of pre-cuts. Okay, this is title. This is, yes, this is title. This is spectrum. This is sorbet, ruby, royal, and polaris. Now, let me tell you about how K Facet and how the bundles work. They make the bundles at one time, and then we keep them until they sell out. There are some bundles that are called classic, and those are coming later, and those, they change a little bit each year, but like, so if you got one this year and then you got one in 2 years, they would have some of the same, but not all of the same. So we always keep a lot of cave pre-cuts in stock. It just kind of depends on the season that we get them in.
Is it Philip Jacobs?
Philip Jacobs. Yes, I knew it had a J. Yes. Okay, also by Ruby Star. This is Animal. Collaborative collection, meaning it's a mix of their designers. Is that a Chewbacca? Chibara? What is that called? Capybara. What is it called?
Capybara.
I've never seen one in real life. Capybara. A sloth. I don't know. The little goats. Look, they're so cute. Goats stink. And then each of the designers is on the selvage. So like Rashida, Alexia, Sarah Watts. The goats are really cute. Little goldfish. Snails. And then whatever Jordan said these animals are. At least I was in the ballpark. Okay, so this is Animal by Ruby Star. Okay, grunge. Okay. We are always looking to have a lot of basic fat quarter bundles in stock. Several times a year, I go through and decide which pages of solids need more bundles, and then I have Sarah put together a selection that match. So these are grunge, and Sarah put these together for us. This is Parakeet grunge, and this is Blue Jay grunge. Now we already have some other grunge online that are like pinks and backgrounds. We just kind of were missing these colors, so I just wanted to show them to you. And then we keep these in stock. We cut those here, and you can tell when we cut here because we have a cute little zigzag and we fold it this way, so you can always tell when we cut here. So these are Parakeet and Blue Jay grunge basics. Sunday brunch by Basic Gray. I'm not going to lay everything out because we showed a quilt using this earlier. It's a really beautiful collection. So Sunday brunch is now in stock, all pre-cuts, all yardage. I can tell you one of the grunge. There's new grunge in here. has already sold out. I can't remember which color, but obviously they'll be making more. Basic gray. Raspberry Summer. This is the one that I showed you the quilt using, I don't think I used anything yet with this. Did I? Oh yeah, a Quilting Life Block of the Month maybe?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. This is Raspberry Summer by Sherry and Chelsea. The pre-cuts are in stock. The yardage will be in stock in March. It is delayed. It's going to be very popular, I can tell you that. This is Sea Glass Summer by Sweet Fire Road. I'm going to just flip the fabric. So this one, if you ever see a half yard bundle on our site, that means that we cut these all in our in-house. So this means that the pre-cuts are here, the yardage is here, it's all here. This one kind of has a, I don't exactly know what kind of vibe it has, but it's kind of like beachy and home decky. That's not a word, I just made it up. I know, I'm sorry. Sea Glass Summer, Sweet Fire Road. And Sweet Fire Road is a newer designer to Moda. New collection by Wilmington Prints called Garden Grace by Katie Pertiet. So this is magnolias and butterflies. This is a stripe that would be great for a table runner or a border. And if you're ever looking for border stripes, Wilmington and Timeless Treasures have the most of those. I'm pretty sure these are magnolias. If I'm wrong, my mom will be very upset with me. She's like obsessed with magnolia trees. Okay, this next one, I love Doodlebug Designs. I love their stuff. This is called Pretty Kitty. I'm gonna open it and show it to you. Now, I don't have a cat. I've never had a cat, but this is so cute. I think this would make the cutest quilt. And I don't even, I mean, I just never have had a cat, but the colors are so cute. So it's called Pretty Kitty. There are fat quarter bundles, strips, squares, and yardage. This one would make a really cute pillowcase. You know, it's funny because when I buy when Kevin and I buy fabric, I'm always looking at it like, what can you use it for? And, you know, if we think that people can use it for, you know, quilts, pillowcases, we will buy it. I mean, isn't that the cutest thing ever? I also really like this. This reminds me of an old fabric we had years ago. Pretty Kitty, Doodlebug Design, Riley Blake Designs. Sorry. This is New Beginnings by Sandy Gervais. And this one, I was thinking about putting in the Woven Star Scrappy, but it doesn't have enough colors to do 8 for it to look different enough. So that was the only reason this one wasn't used. And Pretty Kitty wasn't used just because I think the colors don't match the you know, the vibe I'm going for. But I'm just like you guys. I shop on the site all the time. I'm always looking, trying to come up with stuff. New Beginnings, Sandy Gervais. Very, very spring. This next one has sold really well. I think we've already sold out of 2 SKUs. This is called Blush and Butterscotch by Simple Simon for Riley Blake Designs. I believe this is maybe their second collection. It has some purple to it. And then the colors that are selling out are right here. The gold and the brown. Blush and butterscotch. Timeless Treasures. Timeless Treasures, if you're ever looking for a novelty fabric, that's where you would look on Fat Quarter Shop's website for novelty prints. But they do have collections from time to time. This one is called Be Kind. So it's got bees, flowers, butterflies. And then there's a panel I will show you. And again, running stripe. And then here's the panel. The panel does come in the bundle, but you can get it separately if you want it separately. Be kind, be positive. Super cute. This is Forest Tales by Whistler Studios for Wyndham Fabrics. This one's pretty new. This one is kind of the colorway that right now is selling the best for us for nurseries. So kind of like, you know, every themes go in and out of stock, and like pink and blue some years is popular. Gray and yellow is, right now this is the hot color for nurseries. So anything we see with this colorway, we try to get. Again, Forest Tales, Whistler Studios, Wyndham Fabrics. Okay, these next bundles are unique bundles that Free Spirit put together that are limited in quantity, meaning I don't think they'll make more. This is a mix of K Facet and Morris and Company. So it's Morris, K. There's a blue, a blush, and a bold. And so this is one where our sales reps tell us you get it once. We call it one and done. This one's really cute. This is Lucky Day Flannel by Figo Fabrics. We have had a lot of requests for Figo Fabrics. And Flannel Baby always sells well for us, no matter what color it is. Flannels in general, if it's Primitive Gatherings or if it's baby, it will sell. If it's anything else, it will not sell. That's just for us. Every quilt store has a different customer base. So I'm just speaking for Fat Quarter Shop. So Lucky Day, super cute. Precious Petites. Can I see the block I made with it? This is the one that I made a woven star block. It was one of the new ones.
Does that have yellow in it?
Yes. Precious Petites. Yes, it's that. So I'll show you a block made with it. So this is that with a white on white. And you can see some of these prints are busy, but if you add a strong white next to it, it's going to really pop it out. Lights On is a new Riley Blake white on white. So I would say this is, it has a gray hue to it. It is definitely white on white. Lights On, there was a version 1, so this is version 2. And we will have yardage until it's discontinued. And I'm almost done, so if you have any questions, throw them in, because I've been on here 2.5 hours and I might have to go potty. This is cute, this heart. And on this collection, each of them are different Riley Blake designers that designed these. The first one, I believe, was more low volume. This one is white on white. The next two, I know you guys are going to go crazy over. This is Sunday Brunch by Tilda. It's really, really pretty. We have the yardage and all the pre-cuts. And then each time Tilda has a collection, she usually does a button set. And the button sets are kind of, you get them one time, if that makes sense. But I kind of feel like all the buttons go together. That's really pretty. So tips, this is Sunday Brunch. And then I'm going to show you blenders that go with it in a second. Gray is really pretty. Do I have a time limit? No, I don't have a time limit. I just am kidding around. And I have, okay, I'm going to leave this one out because I'm going to show you this. So the first time Tilda was designing, she would have collections. Now she's doing collections and then she's having blenders that go with it. So this is called Tipsy Blenders. So this one goes, you know, if you wanted to add blenders to this. These are fat quarters, even though they're folded differently. Tilda is very popular. I can tell you that Tilda solids have been really popular lately. I would love to get the Tilda buttons in a sew sampler. I will tell Jocelyn. My go-to white on white fabric is 20708-36 or any of the coriander. Is it coriander colors? Coriander seeds? Coriander seeds. There you go. Okay, guys. So I hope all of you have a wonderful weekend. I hope you have a great Valentine's Day. I will be back in 2 weeks. And until then, I hope everybody is doing great.